lot of people these days are talking about corruption in the government. But today I want to talk to you about corruption of the mind, because it's widespread in society, in Sri Lanka and all over the world. How can we talk about corruption in the government when our minds are so corrupt, all we want is the next biggest TV or the nicer car or lots of whiskey bottles? And we've forgotten the things that are really important, the things that give us life, the air that we breathe, the earth that grows the food that feeds us. And how can we talk about corruption in the government when our communities are corrupt and we're no longer looking out for what's important? But right now Sri Lanka is in a good position. Sri Lanka has a strong leader that against all odds was able to end a long war and fend off all of the foreign powers that wanted to come in and divide up the country and take over the country, just like it's been for thousands of years. And is able to defend a nation, is able to support the farming communities so that we can continue to have food, grow medicines, because the best medicines come from the earth. But it's strange that now someone else steps up to the plate and wants to come in and end corruption, just like that. You know, in 100 days, just get rid of an executive presidency. But wait a minute, isn't that an executive president? Getting rid of, abolishing executive presidency, and someone with no party. I just find that strange, because it just makes me think, well, the only other people that could come in and support that person are the opposition. And what are they going to do? Well, my best guess would be take their fat paycheck and hand over the country to the same foreign powers that have been trying to destabilize, trying to come in, trying to invade, trying to take over, trying to control. And I wonder, at this time, when all of these foreign powers are trying to take over and take hold of the Asia-Pacific, because don't you know they're trying to get control of the Asia-Pacific region for the strategic influence and the geographic location and all the riches and all the other reasons. And why now does this person come out and start pointing the finger at corruption? Where was he for the last 10 years in that government, in the same government he's pointing fingers at? You know, why now? And you know, Sri Lanka for thousands of years had a strong and prosperous nation where people were happy and communities cared for each other and fed each other and grew food and had really strong cultural traditions and values. And Sri Lanka still has those riches and still has those values, but more and more I just see people going after, you know, the latest trends, what looks cool, what looks fancy, what looks rich, and forgetting what's important. When Sri Lanka was an independent nation, full of strong communities that farmed the land and knew how to use the foods and medicines to make their bodies and their minds strong, you know, they were warriors. Even the women went out in the fields to battle the foreign invaders with their bare hands. The men, the women, they left their farming and they went to battle the foreign invaders with their bare hands until they were shot dead by firearms. What would they think today to see a nation where people are no longer even under the forced oppression of foreign powers, and yet they're still lining up for that garbage? I think it's time for Sri Lanka to really get back to their roots. Yes, corruption in the government is a problem, of course, but corruption in the mind is a much greater problem, and corruption at all levels of society. And so, yes, we should get rid of corruption in the government, but we need to start with the communities. And if we want to see stronger communities with less corruption, we need strong community leaders. So what I think is that people should get up off their ass and stop pointing fingers at the TV and at the politicians and get out there and learn something. Learn about the traditions of Sri Lanka. Learn about all of the riches and everything that can be accomplished with the bare hands and the knowledge that has been passed down over generations. Learn from the farmers. They're the respectable ones in the community that need to be supported. And keep supporting them, and keep supporting access to clean water and safe medicines that come from the ground, that come from the earth, that have been used for thousands of years, and keep supporting what's true and what's real and what gives people life. Stop pointing fingers at politicians and at government, and start doing something for ourselves.